On screen, they had some of the most beautiful faces. Behind closed doors, though, they were dying to stay young. Their lies are finally out in the open now. There were illegal shots made from car parts, 10 surgeries in one day, and doctors who disappeared after destroying the faces of their patients. Find out today how these stars put everything on the line for beauty and lost more than they thought possible. Amy Schumer. Amy Schumer is known for being honest and funny, but her story about liposuction showed a weaker side of her. She made the choice to change after having major health problems while she was pregnant. She had terrible sickness and vomiting while she was pregnant, which meant she had to go to the hospital more than once. She had more problems after giving birth to her son. At age 40, she had to have surgery to remove her uterus and colon because she had endometriosis. She said getting liposuction was the most lazy thing she had ever done, but she did it anyway. What really shocked her wasn't the surgery itself. Her acupuncturist spotted a hump on her neck, which is a sign of a condition called hyperkyphosis. This new information made her feel uneasy. She thought the surgery would make her feel better about herself, but it made her feel even worse. Even after making changes, her story shows how hard it can be to deal with your body image. Her story stood out because she was honest. She didn't try to hide how hard things were for her and said that she wasn't making the choice to look better, but to feel better. She is Ariel Winter, and you may know her as Alex Dunphy from Modern Family. We were 10 and 11 years old, and were being crazy while running around with Nerf guns. They're not really being adults. Okay, now that we're all kind of grown up. Has a story too, full of challenges and change. She was in a lot of physical and mental pain for years before she turned 17. This was because her breasts grew so quickly. She had terrible back pain and bad balance, which made her life harder. Her body got even more attention when she was on a popular TV show. People said mean things about her online, like stuff her bra and she's a fat slut, which made things worse. This was too much for her. So she had surgery in 2015 to go from a 32F to a 34D breast size. She was one of the youngest famous people to talk about this kind of surgery in public. I thought I would be singing Smuff Lily in a much higher range and making her sound a lot younger when I got there, which makes her choice groundbreaking. She changed in more ways than one. She spoke out a lot about mental health and body acceptance. In 2019, she said she had been going to therapy for 6 years and then switched drugs, which made her lose weight. Talking about this in public broke down the taboos around mental health and encouraged more people to get help. Donkey Kong. Bellarit. In fact, my favorite things right now are diamonds and jewelry. I'm really happy. And the day we shot in Rome was lovely. I'm so grateful. That's great. It was not like that for Bella Hadid. As a child, she loved horses and wanted to be an Olympian. Even better, she competed in national horse shows. But her dreams changed when she had to stop riding because of Lyme disease. After that, she became a model and quickly became one of the most famous faces in fashion. People have talked about Bella's looks for years. She said in 2022 that she had surgery on her nose when she was only 14. She said she felt bad about it and wished she had kept her relatives' noses. Lots of people were shocked when she said this, especially since it showed how early on she felt the push to be pretty. In all of these clothes, I look very sexy. I was still scared of cameras, putting on a lot of makeup and this cut. When she was in high school, her face was larger and softer. She looks very different now. Fans and experts think that she may have had other changes over the years, even though she says she hasn't had any more surgeries. Bella says she hasn't done anything other than get a nose job, despite all the rumors. She has said that she is afraid of fillers and doesn't want to change her face too much. Yolanda Hadid, her mother, also backed her up by saying that none of her kids have ever used Botox or fillers. But some experts believe that her sharp features and well-defined lips may be the result of procedures like liposuction or other small improvements. Miss Britney Spears died in the late 1990s. Britney Spears became a pop star all over the world. I was just a girl who liked her mom. I like food. What does my dad do for a living? Her first big hit, Baby One More Time, made her a star almost right away. Her fans loved her catchy songs, amazing dance moves, and likable looks. She had already sold tens of millions of albums by the time she was 20, making her one of the best-selling teenage acts of all time. But with all that fame came a lot of attention on how she looked all the time. The media and her fans talked about every little change in how she looked. When Britney had a public breakdown in 2007, there was talk that she might have had facial surgery. Some people thought her face looked very different at this time, but Britney didn't say anything about the reports. After a few years in 2014, she said in an interview that she had tried lip fillers and that her doctor sometimes did fun things for her. Fans and experts began to make guesses about what else might be done. One doctor thought that she might have had surgery on her nose when she was a teenager, showing small changes in old pictures from that time. A lot of people also talked about her breasts. Britney's mother wrote in her autobiography that Britney had breast implants when she was a girl, but she got rid of them when her body grew naturally. This news made a lot of people question whether it was fair for young stars to be under that much pressure. British singer Britney's looks have changed a lot over the years. Some parts of her nose seemed to look different at different times, which led to more guesses about whether she had multiple rhinoplasties or changes that weren't medical. She was born in El Centro, California, and rose to fame in the 1960s and 1970s as part of the girl group Sonny and Cher. Her bold style and deep, one-of-a-kind voice made her very popular. So I told the record company, "Please leave me alone. I didn't want to be on a Christmas recording." She later became a Hollywood star and won an Oscar for her part in the 1980 movie Moonstruck. But around this time, people began to notice how she looked changing. She chose to get plastic surgery after seeing herself in movies. She was honest about it and said she had a nose job, a facelift, and added breasts. In a joke, she said, "Yes, I had a facelift, but who hasn't?" Not every surgery she had went well. She had breast implants in the early 1980s, but they didn't work out at all. She said it was like nightmare. She felt worse after the surgery than before. There were then reports in 1988 that she had her ribs cut out to make her waist smaller. It's just to be happy. It has Chuck Berry and Stevie singing with me. He sings in the song. The story was in a magazine, but Cher strongly rejected it. She swore on her children's lives that it wasn't true and said that her risky clothes would show that she didn't have any scars. In the 1990s and 2000s, she was seen by many as a Hollywood icon of plastic surgery. Some people thought she'd had every possible surgery, but Cher told them they were lying. That time, I almost never took a bad shot, and all of my clothes were beautiful, and I loved them. She said some things were true, but most of the stories were not. People talked about how she looked, but that didn't stop her work. Cher has never said sorry. She just says, "It makes me happy. They're mine if I want to put them on my back." Dear Jocelyn Wildenstein. The life of Jocelyn Wildenstein, who grew up in Lausanne, Switzerland, was very different. The person who was known as Catwoman, Jocelyn Wildenstein, has died. Before she became famous for how striking she looked, she was known for how beautiful she was. She got married to Alec Wildenstein, a rich art collector and racehorse owner, and her whole life changed. Their way of life was unbelievably fancy. Jocelyn said they spent about $1 million a month. In the early years of her marriage, she had her first surgery. Both she and Alec got facelifts, which was the first step in a long series of changes. She kept getting more treatments over the years. People said Alec's love of big cats gave her ideas. They had a ranch in Kenya with lions and other strange animals. Jocelyn kept a cat as a pet because she wanted to look like one. Facelifts, eye lifts, cheek implants, and lip augmentations were some of the surgeries she had. People started calling her Catwoman because her face changed so much. In 1997, she found Alec with a model who was a lot younger than her. This ended their marriage. Their split was one of the most expensive in history. For 13 years, Jocelyn got $2.5 billion and $100 million every year. But there was one strange thing about it. The money couldn't be used for any more treatments. Even though Jocelyn had a lot of money, she finally ran into money problems. In 2018, she said she had no more funds and filed for bankruptcy. Is Courtney Cox? A lot of people know Courtney Cox from her part as Monica Geller on Friends. Fans loved her because of her warm smile, dark hair, and bright blue eyes. When she was in her 40s, she started making small changes to keep her look young. She said she had tried Botox and used it occasionally. "Before I got there, I had no idea how important it was. And this reporter told me, 'You have a star. How does it make you feel to know that Coco's kids will always be able to walk on it?'" She changed a lot about how she looked over time, especially when she was on the show Cougar Town. Her lips looked fuller when she was 50. Her lips looked bigger than they really were, and her forehead was very smooth. Fans and the media thought she might have used makeup and maybe even had surgery. People had different opinions on how she changed. She later made the brave choice to undo the changes. All of her fillers were taken out by 2017. She said it was important to feel like herself again. She was honest about the stress of having to look young and how that stress had affected the choices she made. She talked about how her desire to look young had made her look strange, something she felt very bad about. Many people related to how open she was about her problems, and people all over the world know Dolly Parton for her work in both country music and plastic surgery. It's not often that a music legend like Dolly Parton comes to town, but she did yesterday at the famous Lyric Theater in Lexington. Her way of doing surgery has always been different. She laughed, "I'll tuck, suck, or pluck something that's bagging, sagging, or dragging." Her breast augmentation has always been her most well-known surgery. She hasn't said what size she got, but reports say it's a 40 double D. She's had many surgeries over the years to keep her famous look. She has also had Botox, a facelift, and surgery on her eyelids. She has always been careful, saying that she would rather make small changes over time than big changes that are easy to see. This has helped her keep her natural look while making it better. People have different ideas about surgery now that she is honest about it. Now I'm going to tell you how much that meant to me, because I made the Imagination Library to honor my dad. She has never kept it a secret. Instead, she has always been open about it, which helps remove the shame surrounding cosmetic improvements. She still inspires people with her skill and her ability to change herself, even though she is in her late 70s. Show that you can be beautiful and confident at any age. Lady Priscilla Presley. As a child, Priscilla Presley was praised for how pretty and classy she was. Even more so when she was married to Elvis Presley. But things got more difficult when she thought about getting plastic surgery. She started small with Botox and fillers when she was in her mid-30s. These made her natural traits look better. A lot of people like how these changes made her look even more beautiful. Things changed, though, in 2003. Dr. Daniel Serrano, a cosmetic surgeon who wasn't licensed, told her he had a new method that would change her life. It wasn't safe what he used. It was industrial silicone, which is the same stuff that's used to make car parts. The results were terrible. She got bumps on her face. Some of it stopped moving, and holes started to show up. She didn't look like the beautiful woman who used to make Elvis fall in love with her. It wasn't just that Dr. Serrano hurt her. Some other famous clients, like Diane Ritchie, were also hurt. In 2004, he was caught and sent to jail for 18 months. After that, he was sent back to Argentina. It wasn't easy to fix the harm. It cost her close to $1 million to fix the damage done by the many surgeries she had over the years. It was more than just how she looked. It was about getting back a part of herself. In 2008, her representative stated that she was one of many people who were hurt by Dr. Serrano's carelessness. She stayed in the public eye no matter what. She went to the opening of the Elvis biopic when she was 77 years old. People noticed how different she looked, even though she looked young. Mrs. Donatella Versace. As a child, Donatella Versace had sharp features, natural beauty, and a strong presence. In the fashion world, she stood out because she was charming and sure of herself. Everything changed when her brother Johnny Versace was killed in a terrible accident in 1997. It was up to her to carry on his work as creative director of the Versace company. Her early success in the fashion business was due to how beautiful she was and how interesting she was to be around. Around 2002, little changes to the way she looked began to get people's attention. She probably had surgery because her nose looked a little different. It was likely fillers that made her lips look bigger by the time she was in her late 40s. These changes were the first in a long line of cosmetic treatments. Over the next 10 years, she changed even more dramatically. By 2014, she looked like she was made of plastic at a big fashion event because her skin was too tight and shiny for no reason. Professionals thought she had a facelift, cheek implants, and a lot of Botox. Her look shocked a lot of people and made fans almost forget who she was. After a few years, in 2018, during Milan Fashion Week, it hurt too much to think about. After 20 years, I was ready. Her greatly changed look made the news again. It looked like her cheeks were too full, her lips were too thin, and her skin was too smooth for someone in their 60s. Donatella has never said for sure that she has had these treatments, but she did imply in an interview that her looks weren't completely natural. Ellen DeGeneres. Jennifer Aniston has a different story, but it's just as moving. Can't wait to meet him. After that, he may have watched Friends. This happened to both of us. It was so cute. In the beginning, she had a hard time with being turned down, and she thought about quitting playing. When she got the part of Rachel Green on Friends, everything changed. She became one of the most popular actors in Hollywood because of this part. She became a symbol of beauty and being able to relate to people. Jennifer has avoided making big changes to her look over the years, preferring to keep it natural and classic. She has said that she had two nose surgeries, one in her 20s to fix a health problem and one later to fix mistakes made in the first surgery. She tried Botox once, but felt it wasn't right for her and would rather age naturally. I loved it so much. We both had a great time. Before we sang this, we had about 3 lessons. After that, we taped it. Her unique ability to look young without making big changes has made her stand out and kept fans interested in her secrets. Jennifer doesn't just depend on treatments and surgeries. She spends a lot of money on her health and face care. She spends a lot of money on yoga, facials, and high-end beauty items. These habits have helped her keep up her good looks and keep getting lead parts even though she is now 50 years old. She did a great job on the morning show and won a big award, showing that getting older hasn't slowed her down. Back in the 1990s, Tori Spelling was well known for her part as Donna Martin on Beverly Hills 90210. That's not all that her trip is about. In it, she talks about how her looks changed over the years and the stress she felt in Hollywood. Her first surgery to change her nose was when she was only 17. Her mom, Candy Spelling, told her to do it so she would look better on TV. She was getting ready for a life in the spotlight when this happened right before she started making the show. I haven't talked about it. It's hard because I haven't talked about it in a while. She made another big choice when she was 19 and got breast implants. She went from a B cup to a D cup after the surgery in 1993 in a strip mall. This was a risky move that showed how much pressure young actors were under. She later said she felt bad about it, especially after she realized it might have made it harder for her to nurse. That's what she said. If I had known it could affect milk production, I would not have done it. After many years, she told everyone about the nose job. In 2023, she shared an old picture of herself from before the surgery and talked about how much pressure she felt to change how she looked. This honest moment led to bigger talks about how Hollywood changes ideas of what is beautiful and how fame can hurt mental health. In the same year, she chose to undo some treatments she had in the past. She had breast and butt reduction surgery and had her face fillers taken out when she was 49. She made a big change at this point, going for a more natural look and giving up the standards she used to follow. It's Kim Kardashian, Paris Hilton's friend and stylist before she became Kim Kardashian. I do it all the time. I try to tell myself, okay, I need to get better at this. Or one of my things is that I used to care a lot about. After a tape of her with her boyfriend Ray J got out in 2007, everything changed. What looked like the end of her career turned out to be the start of her rise. Soon after, she and her family started the show Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Everyone knew the Kardashian-Jenner family from the show, which ran for 20 seasons over 14 years and became a hit. It also helped them build their business. Kim's looks changed a lot over time. It was really a secret. I told my sisters, but not them. No one knew. We had to use parts of her house, so my mom knew. She looked very different before she became famous. Reports say that her first big change was a nose job, which changed the shape of her face slightly. But her body, especially her shape, changed in ways that were easy to see. She told everyone that she didn't have any implants, and on her reality show, she even showed an X-ray to prove it. Even so, rumors about procedures like a Brazilian butt lift kept going on as her curves got bigger. There were a lot more BBL surgeries around the world because of this, more than 250% more between 2000 and 2015. Kim is honest about some processes, like the Botox and laser treatment she gets, but she lies about others. People aren't sure what's true because she has said in interviews that she hasn't had any fillers or extensions. No matter what the truth is, she has changed the way people think about beauty. People all over the world copied her style, which changed how people think about beauty. The Heidi Montag story shows how plastic surgery can change people. People were already interested in her, but when she was only 23, she made a big choice. 10 surgeries were done on her in one day. It was a long list. She had revisions done on her nose, liposuction in several places, liposuction on her chin, and fat added to her cheeks and lips. She also had her bottom and breasts enlarged even more. This surgery was done by Dr. Frank Ryan, a famous surgeon who died in a terrible car accident less than a year later. It was a terrible situation. Heidi said it was like being hit by a truck. During her healing, she needed care all the time, and it was hard on her emotionally too. She was put on suicide watch after her heart stopped for a short time. She spent $30,000 on the surgery and magazines like People put her story on the front cover and called her a plastic surgery junkie. Fans, the public, and even her own family didn't like her new look. Heidi had changed so much that her mother couldn't hide how horrified she was. Over time, Heidi said she felt bad about the choices she had made. More surgery was done to make her breasts smaller, saying that they hurt her and made her sick. Afterward, she said that she was too young to make such important choices and that online hate and Hollywood's beauty standards had put pressure on her.